In fact, both the Boniface and acoustics plans came forward to council in mandated processes, and they both contain some version of a loop road. This council recently received a presentation from Mr. Rynch, known as Plan Z, and to my mind, this plan, although, or perhaps because it was produced by an informed layman, is worthy of consideration. Obviously, there are issues with it that would need to be worked out, and it's a very conceptual plan. But I believe the Rynch plan should be formally received by this council and taken forward with other plans we consider appropriate to the public on April 14th, which is the basis for my new motion.
Is there a seconder for that motion?
Would you like me to read the motion again?
Maybe the motions are backwards, Tim.
Backwards?
You want to receive the
I can turn them around.
Oh, no, hang on. I'm saying we need to receive it before we
No.
Okay? Would you like me to read them again?
Please.
Whereas no ferry marshalling plan has to date been adopted by council, and a decision on a solution is a necessary first step to disposition and development of the community lands, be it resolved that a public meeting be held on the 14th of April 2012 to review those ferry marshalling concepts council views as appropriate, viable, and within the financial means of the municipality, and that within 2 weeks of the close of the public meeting, council adopt a ferry marshalling plan which will be incorporated into further development in Snout Cove. Also, be it resolved that council receive Plan Z, ferry marshalling solution proposed by David Rynch, and include it in the concepts presented for public review and discussion at the public meeting to be held on the 14th of April.
Seconder to that motion?
I second that.
Councillor Rhodes. Any discussion?
So my concern here would be, obviously there's the environmental impact. There is obviously an environmental impact concern. And there is the overwhelming aspect of how viable is this route going to be for the issue in trucks, big trucks, tractor trailers, etc. And I personally think that the Plan Z basically has a severe impact on their ability to navigate the roads easily and quickly. So on that basis, I see it as not being a viable solution. When we voted on the James Stewart plan initially, the first go-round, we voted in a series of stages, and on the first go-round for the options and so forth, I was the only councillor that voted for option C, which in fact was basically took into account the herring nest and was a lesser loop that exited back into Trunk Road but higher up, but still served to solve the potential problem. And at the time, I said that it would appear that the likelihood of Plan C or any other plan like that would not be something I would see in my own lifetime. So on the second go round, I agreed to go with the plan that was finally adopted, which was basically no change, which was 2 lanes down, 2 lanes up with a median strip in the center. I guess once we start talking about revisiting ideas and so forth, my own feeling is I would go back to the original, the James Stewart option C, and that would be my preference.
Any other comments?
I think, harkening back to some of the comments from the public earlier today, that out of respect for Mr. Rynch's efforts and the efforts of somebody like Mr. Hill, that there's really no harm in vetting those plans publicly, although time would become of the essence to reinvent the wheel. But again, out of respect for the efforts put forth by our constituents, I think that they should be included in a due process.
Councillor Rhodes?
My recollection of who voted on option C isn't quite the same as Councillor Rhodes's, because I think I was in favor of some of these too. I wanted to see us look at, I guess we all voted unanimously for option A, but I voted unanimously for option A on the basis that I thought it was the stopgap to what I thought might be the ultimate solution, being option D. And we originally asked to have option A and option D costed, and then somehow or other through a motion, which I don't recall supporting, we only asked to have option A costed. I only brought half of my pile of Snug stuff with me today, couldn't carry it all. The loop road's been looked at. The concept can be worked at. The original one designed by BC Ferries was favorably viewed because engineers took the easy way and put it up Alder Trail. But since then it was looked at, and Plan Z is conceptual. The right angle turns can be worked out of there, and I think it's fair to look at it. As to reconsidering the south side was considered in a very extensive process in 2003 and was taken off the table when the Snug Cove Master Plan schedule was appended to the OCP. And taken off the table for a couple of reasons. One, BC Ferries dock, there's nothing wrong with the north side dock the way it operates right now, and it's not danger of falling down. And talking with BC Ferries, it's much more cost effective to keep it upgraded than to move it. The process of moving the south side, BC Ferries has also said yes, it works from an engineering perspective, but it does not, it's not in their capital planning. They're not initiating it. If we as a community wanted to pay for it, then they might think about it. So I think the south side has been taken off the table back when the Snug Cove Master Plan was done. And also there are letters on file from Metro Vancouver Parks that they're not interested in looking at the south side. They're the upland water landowner, and some of their land would be impacted, and Dorman Point has an ecological value along with everything else over on that side. So they're not interested in looking at that. So I'm not interested in resurfacing the south side. But I am interested in, I think, giving what I'll call Loop Road Plan Z, the acoustic plan, just going back, re-looking at them all, keeping in mind that BC Ferries might contribute some money to something if it's structured in such a way that it's something they can lease or own.
Thank you, Councillor. And
we didn't make any absolute decisions, we just asked for costing of options in the last term.
thank you. Anything else? Anybody else want? Okay, we'll move first.
Oh, you.
Oh, golly. I don't know where to start. I'm going to try and keep it brief. Speaking to the majority of the comments in public comments from the start of the meeting, I agree with the substance of what a lot of people were talking about, our former mayor and some others, that the way this came about, understatement, seriously flawed. Lack of due process throughout the whole thing was just embedded in the comment. In whatever kind of pathetic defense I can give for the way things came about, it was just more or less inexperience and this overwhelming urgency to get on with it took over the minds of some people, and that's, I think, how we got here. There wasn't any malevolence planned in the decision to bring this forward. I'm not completely sold on the David's Plan Z. My preference is to tread lightly on the land. However, having said that, now that the idea of having a public forum on this has come out, and I think we should have a full vetting with the plans that are decent and try and look at them in as common and as rational a way as possible. And I've noticed in the community over the last few days, as the temperature has heated up, that even some people who were on both sides very intractable on how they were feeling about this are actually willing to listen to views that are completely antithetical to every fiber in their being. So I applaud that in everybody's willingness to kind of mediate. And Auburn, I think you typified that in the way that you delivered your speech this morning, or a few minutes ago. So I would support what Tim has said about the two resolutions, bringing forward proper public process in the near future. And one thing I would suggest, and this comes from my background as a designer, and I was talking to an architect last night about this, and we were both marveling at how anyone who is in a design field never comes forward to the client with a plan that is not properly drawn out or a proper prototype. Like, it's just, you just don't do it. And there are several of us around the table who should have got that right away, and we missed that. Hindsight is always 20/20, and I've had about 30 hindsight moments over the past 3 days, and that was one of them. So what I'm doing is I'm issuing a collective apology from council, and hoping that we can try and navigate through this and not tear each other apart. I'll leave it there.
I just wanted to weigh in. The comments about the Great Divide, it's really difficult to bring the two solitudes together when everybody keeps reminding me, if not all of council, that there's this great divide. I don't look at it that way. I look at myself as being the mayor of Bowen Island, not the mayor of one half of Bowen Island. So that's one thing you should realize. The second thing is dealing with the plans that have been presented. The problem with the James Tudor plan, and he alluded to this on Sunday night, or was it Saturday night, Friday night? Friday night, was that he didn't do a cost-benefit analysis, and which then brings you back to what Bruce Hallett wrote in a paper a week or two ago, when he said, talking about plans, and this is really important too, the plans that we're talking about are just that, plans. They're not set in stone. They haven't even been costed out. So we're getting a little bit ahead of ourselves if we don't sort of look at it with an open mind and a view that the council is trying to do the right thing. We're not trying to do the wrong thing. We're trying to do the right thing. But Bruce Hallett wrote, put aside a detailed layout and instead replace it with a general set of specific goals, such as solving ferry marshaling. Now you've heard about ferry marshaling already this afternoon. Rebuilding a commercial base. That's the commercial base for down in Snug Cove. Enhancing institutional growth and historic preservation. You're going to hear more about some of the heritage buildings. Providing infrastructure based on future growth forecasts, water, sewer, and roads. Provide housing affordable and market. Deal with traffic flows and traffic demand management. So nothing is firmly set in stone. We don't know all the various factors. Down in Snug Cove,